Good evening, folks. We'll get started here in just a few moments. We're having a technical difficulty with connectivity with the computer. Thanks for your patience. While we're waiting for Robin and the computers, I'd like to welcome you once again to our fire information meeting. My popularity and our popularity must be waning, or else everybody is on the TV and on the internet. But thank you very much for physically coming to the meeting or watching on the TV or through the internet. Just one thing I wanted to start out with, and I think we talked about this many times and many days before this, but the donations and the overwhelming support from this community and the outlying areas has truly amazed not only me, but the entire team. So much so that it is probably a full-time job for folks to manage the astronomical amount of donations that have come in for not only the firefighters, but also for the evacuees. I can tell you that the shelter here is overflowing with donations, and we are taking overflow donations at the ICP, or the Incident Command Post, out at Fire Camp. We walked upon the stage in the cafeteria at the school that we're staying at, and there were boxes upon boxes of everything that you can imagine. And I'm here to tell you right now that the firefighters and the evacuees, I'm sure, sincerely appreciate all of that. If and when the time comes that there is stuff left over from all of those donations, we plan to leave it here with the local community so those people that need it most can also benefit from your generosity. So from the bottom of my heart and from everybody else involved in the management of this incident, thank you very much. So it does look like we are coming up with the computer here. So yeah. It's not on the screen yet, but I can do something else. So yesterday we did have some requests to contact Southwest Gas, Liberty Water, and I have a message. We did have a representative from Liberty Water, and I do have a message. He did have to, yep, that's your kitty. He did have to cancel this evening. However, he did supply us with some information. They are actually restoring service this afternoon as we speak to Cochise and Horseshoe, and the water should be up tonight. They are encouraging customers to use water sparingly, and if you need some sort of special circumstance, go ahead and use it, but please do not overuse. If you're drinking the water, you need to boil it for at least 2 minutes. And the remaining area will hopefully be secure and back with water by Saturday, barring any unforeseen circumstances. So please limit your water use for the time being, and they will flush the lines very soon. The other message I have is from SSVEC. This is from Jack Blair, who's been on stage with us for the last few evenings. His message is the large majority of the SSVEC system has had power restored, although there are still pockets and individuals who are still without power. The most current updated map has been handed out, and I believe they're available at the back and at the entrance. SSVEC representatives will be here. They have the larger maps, and they can assist you with your questions at the end of the meeting. So it does look like we are up and running, so I'll call upon Incident Commander Greg Ponson.
Thank you, everybody. So let me explain the map here, and we'll go ahead and pick up the story where we left off yesterday. So the red areas that you see along this western flank is infrared heat that we picked up early this morning. So this is about the latest fire perimeter information that we have. So those dark red areas indicate where the fire is burning the hottest, and that's where you're seeing the smoke come from today. Okay? So yesterday, recall that we were endeavoring to build the catcher's mitt, right, to protect Sierra Vista and the fort. And that was tying into the old garden fire here. And this is the burned area that we were establishing last night. Tonight, we're going to finish that by kind of squaring up this little area right here. And so we'll have kind of this whole thing filled in. We're going to strengthen this area right here at the mouth of the canyon as well. Okay, recall I talked about the effort today was going to be to go up and scout for opportunities to put some crews in right against the fire's edge and try and control the fire up there in that Carr Canyon campground. And that's right here, kind of where you see these black lines. We did that. We went up there, scouted it, and I'm really glad to report that we think we can successfully do that. We're going to have, we had a couple of hotshot crew superintendents up there along with our operations folks to kind of walk around and ground truth and lay the plans. So at first light tomorrow morning, we're going to have 2 hotshot crews working in this area to construct line right along the edge, tying this right into this. There's a big aspen stand right up here above where this heat is. And this is that visible heat that you're seeing right out the door here, okay? We'll use aircraft to kind of support their effort, and we figure it's probably going to take at least 2 days for those crews to construct that line and start cooling that fire edge in there. So for us, that's huge because at the very least, it's going to stall any advancement of the fire towards Ramsey. And best case scenario is that that fire is going to stay put right where it is. Okay, so let me explain the other side of the mountain to you so you get the full picture. This is the backside right here, and you're probably seeing that smoke kind of drift up from behind Miller Peak. We've got some crews in here right in this area today that we're doing a little bit of burning to get the fire down where we can actually start using some control lines up about this ridge line right here. And we're going to have 2 or 3 hotshot crews building some hand line up toward the ridge line to connect in right about here. And again, that's probably going to take at least 2 days. But our hope is that by end of shift Saturday, we'll have control lines both on this side and coming up from the east side. So the only uncontained fire perimeter is going to be this part right here, which we think, again, it's a very difficult piece of topography, unsafe to put crews as it stands right now, but it is very accessible with aircraft. And we feel fairly confident that with both the fixed wing retardant planes and the helicopters that we're going to be able to hold that fire right where it is until the monsoons arrive, hopefully within the next 4 weeks or so. So that's our plan, and again, we're thinking we'll know by end of shift Friday or Friday evening at this time how well we've done on both sides, and by Saturday we'll have a pretty good feel for how well we're going to kind of keep this thing in place. So, and again, what that means if we're successful is that we'll have this protection in place. And let me add one more component here to the whole catcher's mitt, and that is, once we get this burned, the next little piece that we're setting up to do, this is the Garden Canyon Road right here. We've got a block kind of right in here that was previously burned, and so the fuels are a little lighter. There's not the brush component in it, and we feel that we can safely blacken this area here too to extend that buffer to the control line around and afford that much more protection to the fort to the north. So, we'll have that in place regardless of what happens, and then the focus will be just to kind of keep this thing in check right there. We're most likely, again, I want to reiterate, going to be living with some smoke coming off of this thing until the rains come. But at this point, this is about the biggest break we've gotten since we've been here. So I think this is at least potentially a victory. So everybody keep your fingers crossed, offer up some prayers, and by Friday, hopefully we'll have some good news for you. Thank you.
From the Sheriff's Office, Chief Deputy Rothrock.
Good evening, folks. You know, yesterday I made a comment up here about Miller time, and a friend of mine sent me a message on my phone while I'm here, rubbing it in that he was at home watching this on TV, having a cold one. So I just want to let him know next time I see him, I'm going to teach him a new dance step that's the rage in law enforcement. Only takes about 5 seconds. It's called the Taser Tango. Okay, as usual, I'm the bearer of good news and bad news, and I'll start with the bad news. When it comes to losses, and these numbers are tentative, they're still being changed a little bit here and there as we get this stuff locked down. It looks like we have lost 57 homes, 42 outbuildings, 5 vehicles, and 6 businesses. Okay? And if you can see the map, the gray area at the bottom, and I don't have a fancy laser pointer like Greg, so I'll use my county issued one. The gray area at the bottom, we're requiring permits to travel on Highway 92. We're restricting those areas to residential traffic only for the people that live there and trying to minimize through traffic on the highway for the benefit of fire equipment that has to move up and down that road. On the east side of Highway 92, we're looking at from Coronado Memorial north to Pioneer Lane, and on the west side of 92 from Lone Mountain down to Stone Ridge. To obtain a permit, you can obtain those at our Sierra Vista substation at Colonia de Salud from 8 to 5, and at the Palominas Fire Station on Highway 92 next to Feral Gas from 12 noon to 9 p.m. Now, they're back on the back, there's 2 maps of what you're seeing up here, and there is also a list of street names. So if you're uncertain as to whether your street requires a permit to access it, you can check that list. We are going to be maintaining checkpoints at Hereford Road and Highway 92, Coronado Memorial and Highway 92, and 3 Canyons, which is pretty much in the middle, in Highway 92. Those people that need to access areas south of 3 Canyons need to enter the area from the south. Those people who are accessing areas on the north side of 3 Canyons Road should access Highway 92 from the north. We're not going to allow through traffic. We understand that there are people in the affected area that are trying to get their life back in order, and you're trying to get contractors, well repair folks, etc. in there. What we're requesting people to do is make arrangements with your contractor to meet with them outside of the permit area and then have a permitted individual escort the contractor, repairman, up to where they need to go. As you can see, we are still maintaining a mandatory evacuation area. We have no areas currently under pre-evacuation. The mandatory evacuation area, starting at the Fort Huachuca boundary on Kachina Trail, goes east from the fort boundary to Cherokee, south along Cherokee to Ramsey, then back to the east along Ramsey to Highway 92, and down to Lone Mountain Road. And I hope you can see that on the map. And I'd also like to let you know that, at the height of this, we were running with about 130 law enforcement officers on the ground. And since we've entered this lull time here, we've been able to scale back to about 30, consisting primarily of sheriff's deputies, highway patrolmen from the Arizona Department of Public Safety, and some Border Patrol agents. Now, as usual, I will be available after the meeting to answer questions for anybody. Thank you.
I'd like to introduce and recognize Master Sergeant Desiree Twombly. She's from the National Guard Public Affairs. She's in the front row if anyone has any questions for her. From the City of Sierra Vista, Mayor Rick Mueller.
Thank you, Trina. Good evening, everybody. It was announced today by the city that the fireworks portion of our 4th of July celebration will be postponed. And I want to emphasize that we are still planning to have a celebration starting with July 3rd and the 4th. I probably don't have to explain the reason why, but we anticipate rescheduling the fireworks at an appropriate time after the monsoons, an appropriate date, and the city will work with the Rotary Club and other community groups that have been interested in having some type of a recognition and thanks for the firefighters and their efforts. Cities have received many compliments from local residents as well as folks outside the city. They're grateful for us continually updating our website. Our staff has worked diligently to try to keep the most current and accurate information on the website. And we also want to thank Cox Communication for their government channel, Channel 12. And we get that information to them as soon as it comes. The latest report indicates that the volume of the website has increased by 2,300% over normal. And obviously, I shouldn't have to give you the website number because it seems to be working, the website address since it's working, but I'll give it to you anyway if you have your pencils. It's www.sierravistaz.gov. The city has been working with local faith-based organizations that for us that live outside the Beltway, that's churches, to develop a list of those offering services to victims and evacuees from the fire. Our community has been incredibly generous with donations both of time and materials. We will keep the current list of needs on our webpage and update the site regularly. The last item I want to talk about tonight is I had a great email from the Attorney General, Tom Horn's office. Attached to that was about a 10-page bit of information that talked about the potential for charity fraud and nefarious business activities and those type of things that will follow disasters. I will get that information to the Cochise County Emergency Management Office to distribute it. My concern as one of your neighbors is that now that we've been on national news, we are more likely to have folks coming in from outside that will pose as people that are going to repair your home or fix your home and do a good job, and then once they get the money, they disappear. So I would encourage you to prevent that. If you have any questions, you contact about the validity of somebody's business, you contact the Arizona Register of Contractors. You talk to the folks at the local Better Business Bureau. Those numbers are in the phone book. Or you could just do a simple thing like stop by the Chamber of Commerce. They have a list of members. Those folks have been doing business in our community for a number of years, and they are established and credible folks. And there's enough work to go around, and your friends and neighbors in the community need to work without a building boom. I did want to mention one more thing. There were questions last night about air purity. One of the local air companies got a hold of me and volunteered to bring some information about air quality and purity, and the information should be in the back of the room. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Agency administrators from the Forest Service, Kevin Martin.
Good evening. Cooperation continues out there. Well, we're working up Ramsey Canyon quite a lot, even though we're hoping that we are just cleaning it up now and not having to put any fire in there potentially. The work still continues up there just in case around the houses and up through the resource area, up through the DNC lands. We're We're also working, as Greg pointed out, we're working very closely with the folks on the fort, putting in the lines and learning a lot of things about new things that things we don't typically run across in our normal firefighting procedures. So I talked a little bit last night about our burned area emergency rehab team coming in and taking a look at the forest landscape to see if there's some things that can be done to reduce the coming monsoons. We've talked to them tonight when they got in and asked them we'd like them to coordinate with the other state and private agencies around to make sure that things are concurrent from top to bottom of the hills out there as we're thinking about work that needs to occur. We got a good plan up, and I'm feeling pretty positive about it. I'm kind of an optimist anyhow, but I think we got a good plan, and we're hopeful. I'd like to continue to thank the community support. We got a bunch of cards in from children that are hanging around the lunchroom now for folks that are really, really nice. And then driving in here just tonight, there was a whole bunch of young folks along the side of the road with signs thanking the firefighters and stuff, and those are just really nice, wonderful things to do, and it really makes you feel good, makes you feel welcome, so we want to thank you for that.
And from Fort Huachuca, Colonel Faulkner.
Thank you. We're preparing for the backburn tomorrow night on the fort there in the lower Garden Canyon vicinity of that. And I just asked people, we will start those fires pretty much tomorrow night at about this time. And we've done all the prep work and working with everybody here. That will be the main focus to round out that catcher's mitt that Greg described tonight. The other piece, too, is we're creating a lot of fire breaks around Fort Huachuca and just kind of, as I'd like to call, military defensive positions around the fort to protect the cantonment area from the mountains in case the fire would come down. The other piece that as you drive around the fort, if you'll see that, we've pre-positioned a lot of equipment just in case, and we're doing a lot of preparation just in case. And I'm hopeful, as Greg is, that this catcher's mitt and some of the work that they're doing will hold the fire and we won't have to utilize, but we are leaning forward. The other piece, too, is we're getting support from outside of Fort Huachuca, and those assets have been flowing in from Fort Bliss and coming from Fort Carson, as well as the Arizona National Guard, the 860th MP Company. 41 of those soldiers arrived today as well. And we are working with Davis-Monthan Air Force Base for support that they can provide the fort just in case. And I'd like to just thank everybody here in this great community for all the hard work they're doing. Thank you.
This evening we do have a couple representatives from Southwest Gas, Walter Richter and Julie Phillips.
Thank you, Trina. From the onset of the fire, Southwest Gas has been working closely with Fire Command to ensure the safety of the public. As a safety-first company, this is our top priority. Although we've played a small part in what has happened here with the Monument Fire, we've worked hard to provide some timely updates on our website, www.swgas.com. We have some great maps up there and continual updates going on there. I'm going to hand it over to Julie Phipps to give you some numbers on what we've done as far as restoration of service, but I'd just like to reach out and thank Mayor Mueller for being available, Chuck Patusek, Supervisor Pat Call, and County Administrator Mike Ortega. You have some outstanding elected representatives who are really working hard. When things were happening on Sunday and I reached out and made some phone calls, every single one of these people picked up the phone, and we've been in constant communication. I'd also like to thank Senator Gail Griffin for being here this evening, and I'll be available for any questions that anyone has afterwards. And I'll hand it over to Julie Phipps.
Thanks, Walter. This morning, our technicians began visiting each home in the area that was affected by the gas outage. As of about 5:30, we had 157 customers back on. That's about 2/3 of the people that were affected in the gas outage. Someone does need to give us access into the home to be able to get the gas turned back on. So if no one was at home when we visited there today, we left a tag. On that tag is a phone number that each customer can call to, it's a direct line to our dispatch center that's dedicated just for this relight procedure. And our dispatchers will be available 24/7 to send a technician out to get service restored. If someone is not going to be home, we've got some other options that are available to us. You can leave a key with a neighbor. You can give us a phone number to call, and our service tech will call when he's on his way over and meet you there. Or there are a variety of other options that are available that you can discuss with the dispatcher when you call. As Walter said, we are updating our website regularly with where we're at in our relight process. So be sure and check the website. The phone number that you need to call is also on our webpage, as well as on the tag that's on the door. So if anyone has any additional questions, Walter and I will be available to answer them.
Thank you, Julie. And we also have another guest tonight from the County Health Department, Mike McGee.
Good evening, everybody. Starting last Thursday, we got 3 air monitors from the state. And we set those out Thursday afternoon, 1 in Bisbee and 2 here in Sierra Vista, until we had to move one. We actually got evacuated 2. The 2 in Sierra Vista have shown their quality to remain good through this entire time. So that's good news. Bisbee, until this afternoon, just went to moderate and dropped right back down to good air quality. The one we had in South Sierra Vista, we moved to Fort Huachuca. Hopefully the fort's gonna, did you get yours?
We're good. We're trying.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
And we moved the one at Foothills because the air quality remained good here in Sierra Vista. We moved it to actually IC command. We need power and a secure location, and throughout the burn area, as you can imagine, power is kind of scarce. I guess if you have any other questions, see me afterwards. We'll be here after the fire and the cleanup, with the health department to help you guys get back up on your feet and continue monitoring the air quality.
Thank you, Mike. And lastly, from the Red Cross, Craig Brailsford.
Thank you. Due to the progress on the mountain, some of you are aware that Monday we closed the Apache Middle School shelter and merged it into the one here at Buena. And again, because of the progress last night, we were able to close our overflow shelter in Bisbee at 10:30 this morning. So the only remaining shelter needing to be functioning is this one that's set up here at Buena High School. Speaking of the one in Bisbee, I just want to say a special thank you to the city of Bisbee for providing that overflow shelter. It relieved a great deal of pressure here because as things began to change, knowing that we had that capability was really a relief. And I think I want to give a special thank you to the Bisbee High School principal, Lisa Holland, and her school liaison, Shannon Zavala. These folks have been wonderful in their support for Sierra Vista. It's been amazing to watch. We still are serving through the Salvation Army 300 meals, hot meals here at the shelter. And our family assistance service that we talked about last night, the interviews are set to start tomorrow morning at 8:30. And that's, again, for folks who have lost or damaged property. And if you find yourself or someone you know in that category, be sure and register at the Red Cross desk in the lobby so we can get appointments set up for you and get you on the schedule for the interviews. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Craig. So I was just handed a note from my incident commander And it's great news, we're up to 59% contained for the fire. So one last thing before we get into questions and answers here. We will have another meeting tomorrow night, 6 p.m. here again, and then from then on, based on fire activity and where we are with the, so to speak, catcher's mitt, we'll reevaluate on a nightly basis. But we are scheduled again for tomorrow night, 6 p.m. So with that, if you have a question that pertains to anything other than the Sheriff's Office, maps are in the back with the list of roads that have been reopened for permit status. We can move into the question and answer session. We have about 30 minutes left.